Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've had this discussion about dark money, and my colleagues have pointed out there's a lot more dark money on the left than the right. What I find interesting is that if you take the assumption that disclosure is, and I think the chairman used the sunlight is the best disinfectant, then we should simply have all political money be disclosed, where it comes from, and the citizens can decide on what impact that has. And we have legislation like that the chairman has sponsored. We voted on it 3 times. And I would invite my colleagues across the aisle to join us in ending dark money on both sides. It's quite interesting that if, in fact, there's more dark money on the left, that it's only one side of the aisle that wants to end dark money. That sounds like a pretty principled position to me in betterment of the integrity of our campaign system. Now, Dr. Oreskes, my understanding is that Exxon worked with public relations firms to have strategies like saying it's committed to the depth and breadth of climate solutions, that it wanted to reframe itself as an energy company rather than a gasoline or fossil fuel company, that increased its favorability by 10%, that it put forward that it's strongly aligned with Paris, all of which is a way of saying, hey, folks, don't pay attention to our massive fossil fuel undertaking. We're somehow a good guy. Is this the basic strategy of Exxon and other major fossil fuel companies?
Yes, it is, and it's what we've sometimes referred to as misdirection, to try to distract attention away from the basic facts into some distracting issue. So it is true that ExxonMobil, Chevron, and other companies, other oil and gas companies, have sometimes spent small amounts of money on renewable energy. Most estimates show that it's less than 2%. But in their advertisements, for example, they're often very much focused on renewable energy, even though 98% of their commitment is the continued development of oil and gas. And we know from the work that's been done by the IPCC and others, the IPCC and scientists have introduced the notion of a carbon budget. It's the idea that there's a certain amount of oil and gas that we can use without essentially derailing the planetary climate. But nearly all of these groups, including the IMF, by the way, have said, and the International Energy Agency, that this would require not developing new resources of oil and gas. We can use a fair amount of what's still existing, but not searching for new oil and gas. And yet ExxonMobil, Chevron, and all of the major oil and gas companies are continuing to explore for and develop new oil and gas reserves that will commit us to burning fossil fuels